Okay. So, here's the agenda, guys. So,
Commission on Disability.
okay. Yes. Okay. So this is the meeting for the Commission on Disabilities for February 4th. Is 10:03. We're going to start going over the agenda. So I just wanted to, I'm just gonna, our secretary, Kathy, is not here today, so I'm gonna be taking some minutes over here. I'm just writing down who's here and not here. Is it okay if I put your name that you were here? Okay, how do you spell it?
Y-A-R-I.
Okay.
N-E-T-T-E.
Oh my goodness, man. Okay. And I'm sorry.
N-E-T-T-E.
All right.
And I can help you typing that up. You don't have to do that yourself.
Awesome. Okay. Teamwork. Okay, so if you want to flip those over, the agenda over, we're going to look at the minutes.
Okay.
So if you want to go over them and see if I missed anything that we talked about last time.
Okay.
So I'm actually not on the committee.
Right, Jet.
Roll call. So,
Oh, so I should put it under the other.
Also under attendance, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Not like Jack Brown.
Did I miss anything
I don't see any problems.
outside of that? So if I have to make that one correction, can I approve the minutes or not?
Yeah, so you just
Okay.
approve them as,
Okay.
approve them as amended and then make the correction and then send it to Barbara.
Okay. But I have to ask for a vote of that being.
I don't know what I mean, there's, every committee has.
Does it different, okay.
Yeah, so, so you could,
So then I can just approve the minutes
well, so generally
as
there's,
amended.
yeah, I mean, if you ask if anyone else has any objections, if there's no objections, then
Right.
you can just
Okay,
as amended.
so you guys said you didn't have any objections?
Nope.
Okay, so I have, what? I'm
I
sorry?
said all good.
All good, okay, so I have to just amend that one thing and I'll send it in.
Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
all right, so if we flip back over, there's no one here for public speak right now. So we're gonna go on to some of the old business. So one of the things is that Alita, she was a member and she has resigned. So we have that space open. So the only other thing we have under old business is the survey that we had been working on, which you got a copy from Jim, and then I have it. I think what we need to figure out is what our next steps are with the survey. Do you guys remember anything about the survey? Because you've been here a couple of times. Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did not bring a printed out copy, I should have. But it's basically, we've been working on it for a long time. It's a bunch of questions that we want to send out to Easthampton, to the public, to business owners, everybody here to see what kind of things that people might need help with, or buildings that maybe aren't accessible. All sorts of needs. And so we had a really big survey that was pages and pages and pages, and we were trying to get it down smaller. And so we sort of have it there, but then we need to figure out what we're doing after that, because we want to do it, make it online, do somewhere called Survey Monkey. So did he discuss with you at all, like what was going on?
No, he just sent me that, said this is what I have. And I have to admit I didn't look at it. But yeah, but what I remember is that we had officially agreed on a, right, on a, you know, a draft, right, to do testing on. So what we were going to do is, we're going to take that draft and have, you know, have some select people take it and so that, and give us comments so that we could come up with use that for a final draft.
How are we finding the select people? I don't
I
remember.
think it was gonna be members of the committee that were
Okay.
going to sort of take it as if they were, you know, just checking it, you know,
Right.
making sure the questions work and that, you know, not taking it for real, but just taking it as if they were different people in the community.
Right.
So you're kind of testing it, but after we're done, that data wouldn't,
Really do.
that data would then be thrown out.
Okay.
So that all the testers would still have to take it officially
Okay.
once it becomes released.
Okay. And this would be in paper form, like?
No, it would be on, we want to do it on the online form, making sure that the online version
okay,
is
okay, okay.
working. That it makes sense, that it's, we want to know how long it is, how long it takes to fill out, so we're like, if we're asking
Okay.
people to spend 45 minutes doing it, that we know that we're not going to get very many responses.
Right.
Although, I mean, but we also would like to know if all of the questions make sense. We really need like some outside perspective.
Okay, so not,
Well, yeah, and I think there's been enough distance from most people. We have some new members who haven't really
That's true.
been part of
involved.
it, yeah.
So I think that we can sort of rely on the committee to prove it. You know, if we need some more eyes on it, I can ask Jeff to take a look at it. I'll be taking a look at it as well, so we'll.
So what is the actual step that needs to be taken? It needs to be the input put into SurveyMonkey?
Yeah, and so what we had, we don't actually have a subscription with SurveyMonkey. We're gonna use, there's a similar platform that we can use.
Okay.
It's through Microsoft, it's, and I can send you or Eli the link. Jim was going to start putting it in, but I don't know if he did. I never got anything from that.
He didn't say he did in the email, so I don't think that he did, right? He didn't start putting anything?
Not that I heard.
No, okay. Is that something that you wanna start doing? You want me to do it? It's up to you.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
Okay.
so then, you're just gonna send us the, send him the link.
I'll send you the
Okay.
link.
And then, between now and next, do you wanna wait all the way till next meeting to have it done? Or do you want people to have taken it by next meeting?
I mean, I think that makes sense to, it's a long survey and it's gonna take some time, I think, to get it in there. So
Okay.
it might just be, why don't we shoot for the goal of having it inputted for the next meeting? And if you get it, you know, if you get it up and running before that meeting, you can just send out an email to everyone, just says it's up and like,
Right.
here's the link to test it.
That's
Okay,
good.
great.
Okay.
But not,
Okay, what's next? So, new business.
New business,
So, I wasn't sure if we had new members. I think you guys put some paperwork in, right?
yeah,
Yes. Okay, so we'll just wait to hear back from that. But I'm glad you're here.
yeah,
So the question that I had for everybody last time, and I wanted, that we want to sort of figure out what people want to do, why they're on the commission. So I wanted to hear about people's strengths or things that they really don't want to do. I'll probably have to ask that again in another together the next meeting because some people aren't
Right.
here.
Right.
So right now, this project is closing up. Were there other? I don't think there were.
Clothing.
What, the survey, like we don't have to,
Oh.
like it's.
I thought you just made it clothing.
No, not at all. Nope.
Oh, okay.
We were just using all our meetings to get the questions for the
Oh.
survey, so,
Okay.
so
I
that's
can-
sort of,
Sorry, I confused you.
yeah. And I should probably print one out
And I
anyways.
can really clear
For
it
people
back.
that don't-
Okay.
Can't go on the computer. All right, so do you guys have things that you feel like are your strengths that you are really good at, or you don't have to, it's
My
not,
memory not working.
that's okay.
My big strength is making friends.
Making friends, I love that. Okay, you like talking to people?
Yeah.
How about me?
Okay.
You love to talk to me or no?
Of course.
Right.
Okay.
Right, okay.
So you don't mind talking to people, so if we ever had like a
Good, yeah,
table
right.
somewhere, we were giving out information, you would be okay talking to people, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah?
good.
Yeah, or
Okay.
maybe you could help recruiting members or promoting the survey and stuff. things like that.
Right. Plant. La plant.
Did I spell it right? The plant?
No, Bryce's last name.
Bryce the plant?
Right.
LAPLANT.
Okay.
Right. La plant.
And your role is really restricted, right? Like you,
Yeah, I'm not on the commission, I'm really just
right,
here to help.
you're just filling in.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, making sure that if there's resources or things that the committee needs, that I can help get that, and if there's questions about, you know, wanting to figure out how things fit into larger planning department or planning or citywide priorities or goals or things like that.
Okay.
I'm here for, you know, to help support the commission.
Okay. All right, Eli, do you have, I know that we've talked about it for a while, but do you have ways that you think, like things you think we should be doing out in the community or?
Is there, I'm not really sure, I mean,
I know it's a tough question.
yeah, I mean, there's something that I'd like that might not be quite in the scope of the commission, but I think there should be like some kind of a discussion about better ways to accommodate disabilities, because I think a lot of the ways that the standard accommodations that we have don't work very well and aren't really sustainable. And I wish there was more talk about how we could come up with better things.
Meaning once somebody needs help, who can help them and how?
No, I mean like, so instead of like for like say accommodating people in wheelchairs, right? You know, basically the way we do that is we, you know, for outside we pave everything and right, and we have ramps and curb cuts,
Okay.
and then inside we have like, you know, we have elevators and we have everything has wide aisles and stuff, and there are a lot of problems with that, and I think we could come up with better solutions, or maybe not us, but someone could come up with better solutions, and I would like there to be more conversation about that.
Like holding a forum? Like they do with all those?
Yeah, that could be, yeah.
Okay.
Good speak up. Well,
What about, you're not just talking about physical stuff, right?
No, I mean it in general, but that's like that's like the you know, the classic example.
That is, yeah. Yeah, do you guys have ideas on how we could do that?
Put,
Yeah.
like, automatic buttons to open
I
doors.
got it. Sounds great idea.
Yeah. Right, I think it circles back around like who's in
Yeah.
charge of that, how we get the money,
Yeah,
how long
well, I
that
mean,
takes, which seems to be the
yeah,
little trap that we get into.
I mean, so
Trap,
I think,
back trap you.
Like problem that we get into, because we want to help everybody and then
Oh, I thought
like
you do
we
it
can't,
way that.
no, we can't just magically do it with money out of my bank account, I wish.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
right, like, and like,
Yeah.
are there ways to do it that are not only,
Give
not,
me some money,
yeah,
I'm
are there
gonna
ways,
smile.
yeah, and like, I'd like to know, are there ways to do it that not only are, make it easier for the people that it's meant to accommodate, but also that are less expensive and that have less of an impact on the, you know, on the development pattern and things like that.
I mean, I think that's a great idea. If there are specifics that you can pinpoint, I think it might be if we start small with this, because there's so, I mean, as everyone knows, there's so many types of disabilities. There's physical, and then there's mental, and there's, you know, emotional, and there's like so many different types of disabilities. And I think it'd be helpful if we want to go down this process for a new sort of phase of the commission, it would be to try to start small and identify one or two disabilities that you don't think are being properly accommodated. And then we can do some research to figure out what those types of disabilities would need and whether or not there's already existing laws and regulations that, you know, dictate what can and cannot happen. So, you know, you mentioned the wheelchairs and accessibility, and a lot of that's already covered by a lot of federal regulations and state laws. And so it might be impossible for this commission to do anything without having those laws change at the state or federal level. And if that's the case, then for those issues, it might be more of an advocacy role than actually trying to come up with new, you know, a new way about it. But if there's issues, let's say, I don't know, emotional support things that aren't being adequately addressed, and they're not already covered by state or federal regulations, then that seems to be a really good place where this commission can work to enact something on the local level.
Yeah, I mean, if you want, I can explain more about where this comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Please.
so like I've been following kind of groups that are interested in urbanism, right? Basically how to build cities better, and how to make them more, and also how the way we build cities is both financially unsustainable and also like doesn't make very good cities. And one of the real kind of conflicts that I've seen is that all of the ways that we accommodate, particularly wheelchair users, is in conflict with all of the things that are all of the ideas about making better, more financially sustainable cities. And I've asked how can we resolve that, and I haven't gotten any answers, and I would really like some answers on that. Because you know, but also the fact that a lot of these things are a lot of these accommodations that we do as standard are not very reliable. Like we can't put like we, you know, we can't make, you know, all these things everywhere. There just wouldn't be enough money in the world to put all these things everywhere. And like putting elevators in buildings, well, elevators are unreliable. They break down, and then the people who need the elevators are kind of screwed. Like, isn't there something better that we can do that would be reliable? Yeah, and so that's something that I've been thinking about for a while, and I don't have any answers, and I feel like there has to be a conversation. We have to come up with better ways to do this.
Why don't we add it, Angelique, if you want to add that for the next month for the agenda item as discussions of what would you call it, accommodations, or
Yeah.
is that accurate, Eli?
Yeah, I guess I'd call it like, yeah, I don't know how I would
Getting down and
talk
dirty
about
with,
it. Yeah, how I would summarize that in like a few words. But
Let's just call it accommodations.
you will know it.
But I mean, the idea is that if there was someone else who was reading the agenda, that they would also know what it means. So, so maybe a discussion of accommodations,
Okay.
and then sort of leave it general. And Eli, if you can maybe do some thinking on that, and maybe lead the discussion at the next meeting, and how we can go from there.
sure,
Is that-
yeah, and there is like a short thing that I wrote about it that I could send to people.
I know that the commission a couple of years ago put together an ADA primer for small businesses, a little pamphlet. So if you want, I can print that out for everyone for the next meeting, if that would be helpful to look at as part of this, or.
Was it ever handed out? I feel like it.
It was put online, and we have a couple of copies that we print out as necessary for a little display.
Easthampton.
Okay.
So would that be helpful to have a couple copies of that at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
You brought up emotional disabilities not necessarily being handled. I know that was one of the questions in the survey we talked about, like about disabilities that aren't necessarily visible in dealing with the police or stores, or do you remember us talking about that it's hard?
Yeah, that does sound familiar. I can't remember exactly what we said about it though. But yeah, it's true. We haven't talked that much about you know, anything but the standard kinds of things.
Right.
And this can also be, you know, maybe part of this that you're talking about, Eli, is influenced by the results of the survey. So it might be good to start talking about it, but we may not get all the direction that we want until the survey results are in.
Yeah, and I don't expect that this will immediately lead to like things we can do,
Right.
like right then. But like, I don't even have like a direction of like things we should like be pushing for. Like,
Right.
yeah, like.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. I just wanted to hear ideas. Yeah, so when we get the results, that'll be more helpful, but I do know that was one of the concerns when we were making it, that in dealing with the public, like what's a good way, if your disability is not blatantly obvious, like how people can interact with you, or what, so, and that's not something that always gets talked about. All right, you had raised your hand earlier when I said if you had ideas. Did you have an idea?
Yeah, like at the ramp
The map?
map
Yep.
Where is it?
that
What?
show right here. If you want, you can map
What,
ramp
the
for handicapped
the
people.
ramps?
Yeah,
Is this,
yeah,
what is this a map of?
That's
The zoning.
Okay.
yeah. I want the area, like the bus
You want to, you're talking about having ramps in all the necessary places and all the zones?
Yeah.
Yes.
We should.
And we don't always know all the places, so if you're out and you
Yeah.
know of a place, you should tell us
My
about it
mother,
next time.
hard time hearing sometimes.
My mom put a ramp for me at their house, and we had to put like a thing on the door, like a zoning, whatever they call it.
Oh, like a
Contract thing.
little certificate that it was zoned to put a ramp up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Permit.
There are zones where you're
I
not
tried that
allowed to have
before.
a ramp?
when
I
you
don't know.
drove
I
by.
think you just need permission before you put it
Is
up.
if
it
you're
right
doing it-
in Easthampton?
I think that's what he's
Yes,
talking
Mommy.
about,
I
so.
know. Wait.
Do you have anything? I know it's your
Yeah,
first time here, but like, have you noticed stuff? Is there things that you would like to
Okay.
see? Like,
Around the neighborhood, we're always in the community. It'll be helpful when the automatic doors actually open. And I do
at
have,
Riverside?
no,
Oh,
I'm saying like
okay.
out in the community.
Yeah.
But there is usually a number that I contact, which I always get like a voicemail. It says like disability phone number or whatever, like.
For Boston?
I think a Hampshire Mall was one of the few times that I click on the door,
Hanging up there,
yeah,
yeah.
and the door wouldn't open. But there is a contact number. I know the Hampshire Mall specifically like has a contact number to contact
Yeah.
and to like to say any complaints. I'm always calling every time that door doesn't open.
What
And
about
we go
in-
there frequently.
Do they respond to it and fix it, or is it?
It's mostly like leave a message. There's no one that I contact. Like I'm not speaking to a person,
Right.
basically. So I'm leaving a message, my number and whatever. Like at this time, that this door and this entrance, like, and there's not an automatic door like all around the mall. It's just certain areas.
Probably.
I forgot a different day that. Where was I? And the door wasn't opening when I was clicking on
What
it.
about in Easthampton?
Easthampton. The local coffee shops that we go to, they're not automatically the doors. We usually hold them. Like Chiltern Falls, Tandem. There is quite enough space in there if it's not too crowded.
Right.
We go to the fire station. Fire station doesn't have I'm surprised it doesn't have automatic doors.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think.
they have a ramp,
Yep.
but once you get to the front door, there's no automatic
Right,
doors.
and so I think my understanding is under the ADA, it's either, it has to be push button or there's a certain amount of resistance that the door can have,
Like
so.
pounds?
Yeah, and so
Probably.
there's doors that, like if it's,
Nice.
I mean, obviously like the best is to have the automatic opener, but if the door, and I don't know what that threshold is, but there's a thing you can test to see how much pressure it takes or how much force it takes to open the door. My understanding was that if they're below that, then they don't need the opener.
There is a handle that's helpful.
Right,
Like
Yeah.
I've seen people just open it themselves. And they're able and capable on a wheelchair. Like they will wait for me and they'll try to open the door themselves. But the door, like you're saying, it's not as heavy as other doors.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I
and
think I do feel the difference. We
Yeah,
go
and-
there every Tuesday.
yeah, and so I don't know, again, what the requirements are. And I know that it does change depending on when the building was built. There were different requirements in effect. It was built before, I think, 1990. It's exempt unless they have a certain amount of construction that happens with the emergency service building that obviously was built much more recently than that. But again, the doors were designed to be, light, then they may not need it. But it's still good to know these places. You know, with public buildings, we've applied now 2 years in a row for an ADA planning grant. We have not received it either time, but the planning grant we'd hire a consultant to go around to all the city-owned buildings and evaluate each city-owned building with regards to the ADA needs for that building, and come up with a report. But that we didn't get grant funded, so we're unfortunately unable to start that study. But if there are things that you're noticing, that you guys are noticing,
Yeah.
I think it'd be helpful for the commission to know those things, and maybe we can, if they're city-owned buildings, we can, you know, work with the city administration to get those fixed, and then private buildings, we can contact landlords and things like that, so.
Yeah, the local library has a ramp too, and I don't remember if the door is slightly heavier there, or like, but there's there is a handle though, which is smaller, and that's the east, right here, up the street.
Emily Winston.
Yeah, they have a ramp, but that door doesn't open automatically. And for more independent, but still slightly, you know, need assistance to open the door, but they're still independent and they're out there in the community, it just would be helpful if a lot of doors open automatically. But I understand there's like rules and.
Yeah, is there a difference whether it opens inward or outward? Is that important?
The law requires that doors have to open out.
Okay,
That's for a fire code issue.
I see, all right.
Unfortunately, we don't have any control on that.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, we covered anything that we can cover
Yeah.
today. Are there other things that people want to talk about or put on the agenda for next time?
The sidewalks are really bad.
Say it again?
The sidewalks are really
The
bad.
sidewalks are really bad in a lot of spots,
They're
right?
not even,
They're not
We-
even.
Not evil?
especially like in front of 7-Eleven.
Yeah?
If that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So when we're going with our group up 7-Eleven, going like towards Tandem, we usually gear towards the right. It's like in the parking lot, which we may be more alert, right, our
Yeah.
surroundings, because it is a parking lot. So we steer off the sidewalk because it's so uneven in that spot,
Yeah.
especially when there's snow on the ground. Like it gets icy there and
Oh my
everything.
God.
So in the past, I know that we talked about maybe or maybe not having some sort of ability to take pictures and put it on an app.
Yeah.
Do you remember talking with
Yeah,
Jeff was coming, and he was trying to develop an email address, and
Yeah.
but that in order to fix the sidewalks, like it's a whole grant process, right? Getting money, and it's not like a quick fix. It takes.
Well, the
Yeah.
Union Street is going to be reconstructed in its entirety from basically storefront to storefront, so, but it's gonna be, if everything goes well, we'll have the plans go out to bid a year from now, with construction starting about a year and a half from now. But that would, and at that point, it would be, they're gonna replace all the sidewalks and redo the streets, and they're gonna be adding a bike lane,
Wow, nice.
removing some parking, putting, called bump outs on the crosswalk, so that way, people who are crossing are 6 or 8 inches higher than the street, you know, so they're at the sidewalk height, basically for the width of the parking lane. So it shortens the distance that needs to be crossed, it also makes the pedestrians more visible. But all this is gonna happen, you know, 2 years, construction's gonna start in 2 years or a year and a half. And when construction begins, it's gonna get a lot worse before it gets better because everything will be in a construction zone. So, but unfortunately, between now and then, we're kind of in this like,
Limbo, like,
well, so like the city's not really putting much into making improvements in Union Street. They're doing what, you know, if there's a pothole, they'll patch it. If there's a hole in the sidewalk, they'll patch it. If there's, you know, if there's a trip hazard, we can probably work with DPW to get it ground down. But if if you know the sidewalks are uneven, that's not going to happen. If there's snow that's not being removed, then we do have a city ordinance that requires property owners to clear the snow in front of their business or in front of their house. So if businesses aren't clearing the snow, there's, I believe you would report it to the police and they would go out and issue that business a ticket for failing to clear the sidewalk.
Sometimes they are clearing the snow, but
Yeah.
since snow naturally melts when it's warm or whatever,
Yeah.
and then when it gets cold, that melting layer freezes.
And
And they're still required to
Right,
maintain
you're
the
right.
sidewalks in front of their business or their home. So if
That's
they
good.
clear the snow and then it becomes icy,
Oh, my
they should be putting
goodness.
down salt or sand.
I
And if they're not
before.
doing that, if it's a business, no business owner wants someone to fall in front of their business because that's their liability. So usually if you would just walk into the business and say something, they'll go, oh, I didn't know that was a problem, and they'll go out and take care of it. But if you have trouble with that, then, you know, it's something that they, you know, that's up, the Commission on Disability can write letters.
I mean, that's another thing that maybe the commission could do is come up with a recommendation for a better policy about snow clearance, like for the city council to consider.
meaning not the 24-hour, like landlords have
Yeah.
24 hours thing, because that's too.
Because I mean,
Long.
what we have now, like doesn't work because it requires like enforcing this policy on like every single property owner in the city, and that's just destined to fail. Like there's no way that you know there's really no way to enforce that reliably.
They're supposed to
Yeah.
call the police or something, right? And then police can come out and say something.
Right, like
send a
there's,
letter.
like that's, the policy that we have now is never, ever going to result in like the sidewalks all being clear.
Is that who policy would go through with the
So it's a city ordinance right now.
yeah.
So any change to it would need, go to the city council, they would send it to subcommittee. This then comes out of the subcommittee and the city council would vote on it, and would be approved or endorsed by the mayor. And then enforcement currently is the police. And, you know, if that changes, it could, you know, it could change.
Do you know what the police do? Do they just go out? And,
I don't know what the police do.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like how do you enforce that?
yeah, what they,
I think that they wait for complaints to enforce it, and so if there are complaints, then you call the dispatch and you complain, and then they'll send someone out to
Wave a finger at you.
Well, they have the right to, there's a fine associated
A
with it.
fine, okay.
So
Yeah.
they would, if it's been more than 24 hours since the storm ended, they would give that, you know, they have the option to either issue a fine, or they could just knock on the door and say, you know, you need to do this, or we'll fine you, we'll be back tomorrow to make sure that it's cleared up.
Why?
Okay.
You know, so they don't always have to just resort to the fine, they have other options.
Okay. And are you talking about having a shorter time though than 24 hours? And or
No, I
not
mean,
having the police?
I'm talking about just having a totally different policy, like maybe the city being responsible for clearing the sidewalks, the same way it clears the roadways.
Okay.
Like, why do we make that distinction, right, between clearing the sidewalks and clearing the roadways?
Do you want to put that on the agenda
Privacy.
Sure.
for next time? Okay, how did you want it written?
Well,
Maybe snow removal ordinance?
yeah,
No, that'd be a great idea.
I actually, so one of the things, is I should have put it under old business, was that I was supposed to do a little, like looking for new members and saying that we're here, and so I did have some people contact me, and say that they were, you know, I sent them the link and they said they were gonna come. They're not here, so I'm not sure. But I had somebody write to me while we're in the meeting, and they brought up some good points, I guess. They're just saying that they wanted to be here and that they had looked in 5 places, and why don't we have a Facebook page? And I have tried to explain to people that we do not have, the Commission on Disability does not have a Facebook page. We have talked about it before, but that requires somebody manning it and what have you, and that we're technically, information is put out under the planning department. There is a City of Easthampton Facebook page which lists the dates and meeting times of all the meetings, including us. But they're also asking for the chair and vice chair's like personal email and phone links, and so I do not think that the general public understands that this is a volunteer job and that we don't have, you know, I don't think it'd be fantastic or worthwhile to give my personal email. I do not mind if people contact me on Facebook, but I tell them like I can't be Facebook friend, like it's a personal, you know, some boundaries.
could we get, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so you're right, I generally, we don't like to give out personal phones and email addresses of our committee members. It sets up, it can create a lot of problems. So generally, well, what we do is we have people email either me or Jeff, and then we will forward it to the commission or the chair, and then if the chair decides to respond directly, then they can, then they'll have your email or your phone or whatever, because you've made that decision to contact them back. But generally we want all of the, you know, for under the public, the public meeting law, we'd like all of the sort of decision and process and talking and things that are happening to happen at the meeting. So that way anyone from the public can take part, as well as all of the board members can take part. And it's not just the chair agreeing to do something outside of the meeting, or, you know, the chair and the vice chair. Like, there's no sort of meetings or decisions happening outside of that meeting. So, so I would recommend, you know, if you get that, just feel free to give them my email or Jeff's email. You know, and that's fine. And we I think you were going to ask if we could have a email address for the commission.
That's what I was going to say.
And when I've talked to the IT department before about that, it is possible. However, they don't like to do that because it creates, without having one person who's explicitly responsible for it, things end up going there. People think that they're emailing the commission, but no one's actually checking that email address, and things sort of get lost. And so it's better to just have people directed to either me or Jeff, and that we can for the things as necessary, or that they're not gonna just like get lost or disappear.
Well, even if somebody like myself was in charge of it, like I still wouldn't, because I don't really know the ins and outs, work for this, I wouldn't have the answers to a lot of things, so they would just be going to you guys anyways, so.
Yeah, so just encourage people to contact me or contact Jeff, and we'll, if it's something that we can answer, then we will, and if it's something that needs to come to the commission, then we can send it to the commission.
Yeah, I mean, do you think there would be any value in just setting it up as an alias that just forwards to you and Jeff? So that way at least it's clear, like, people know, well, so that it's obvious, like, people are emailing about something, a disability issue or something.
I think that, that can be taken care of in the email address, or sorry, in the subject. But,
Okay.
if it's something that you feel strongly about,
Well, I don't feel strongly about it, I'm just,
I mean, I've had these discussions with the IT before, and this is, I can have it again, but they more or less told me what I've just told you,
alright,
so.
but it's okay, don't worry about it.
Okay, and the email address would just be your name.
It's jweb@easthampton, it's
Okay.
what I've,
Been going back and forth, okay,
yep.
all right.
No.
Okay, do you guys have other things that you want to talk about? Or maybe not this time, but next time?
My cousin told our next door neighbor to move their tree, and it fell and almost burned down our house.
Oh no!
Oh my God.
Oh, it was like a tree that was dead, like really flimsy.
No,
It had a Christmas tree right inside the house.
no, it was outside the
No,
house.
outside, okay.
Did it blow over?
It blew over and took down power lines, and
Wow. Okay.
the power line in our house burned the siding.
Oh no!
Wow.
So what would that fall under? That's not the Commission on Disability necessarily, right? That would be.
That'd be Public Works.
Well, so this already happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, who responded?
My cousin, he was there all day when.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, we're here, we're listening.
Is your cousin part of the fire station department, the
And-
police department,
In Southampton,
Southampton?
Okay.
Fire station department,
police department,
police department.
Okay.
and he's our landlord.
Yeah.
Nice.
But you guys were able to evacuate safely?
Yep.
Oh, you live in Southampton?
No, I live in.
Oh, you live in,
Easthampton.
okay, he just came on over. Awesome, I'm glad he could do that.
Good job for him.
Okay, so if we don't have any, do you have anything you want? Okay, so I'm gonna look to just see when the next meeting
Yeah. No.
is, so we can announce it, so that would be March
March.
3rd.
Good. Not today, actually.
Today's February 4th. Okay, so March 3rd. And we're gonna put on there the discussion of accommodations, snow removal ordinance. We will check in with you to see if you put the survey on the Microsoft thing and if you, and whether or not any of us did. And then I'll, if our members are here next time, I will check in with them about
Okay.
their strengths and what kind of things they might want to work on the
Okay,
commission.
good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good.
So, March March 3rd is election day.
Oh.
So there's a
Tuesday.
the primaries, the state
Okay.
and there's also some local election thing
So-
going on. So,
To be open.
so this, well, I mean, we can meet, but I don't know if that makes sense or if you want to postpone it, or shift it to another day.
Yeah, I mean, is that a problem for anyone else? Like,
No,
yeah, that it's election day.
not me.
I'm just substituting, so.
Right.
So I would say just keep that date.
Yeah, keep it, yeah,
So 10 a.m. on March 3rd.
yeah.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out though.
There was one day we actually came here and we had to turn back around and go back outside because the meeting was canceled.
Oh,
Good thing we're nearby, just
well,
across the street.
now Jeff will get the
Yeah.
emails if it's canceled or,
Yeah,
so that won't happen hopefully to you guys again.
that'd be embarrassing.
So do we have you guys' email addresses? So-
They're on their applications, I
Email?
believe, right? So once
Yeah.
they're approved.
Okay,
I
so
think
then
they're just
we'll
these.
add them to
Email?
the list. Okay.
How you got
Do you want
email?
to?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Meeting,
Second,
second, third, fourth.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so I'm going to end the video.
Yes, please.
Ah.